First of all, I think you need to assess his contribution to the law as an advocate. He was, in my opinion, the finest advocate in court that I have ever seen. He succeeded in lifting the reputation of the Australian legal profession and the Australian bar to the level of acceptance that the Australian judiciary achieved as a result of the recognition of the work and the judgments of Sir Owen Dixon. He was the leader of the Australian bar at a time when it did have some of its finest advocates appearing against him. As Chief Justice, he was responsible for securing the building of the High Court in Canberra. That in itself was a remarkable achievement. He also succeeded in reforming the procedures of the court, in changing the style of advocacy that was accepted. Much less citation of authority, more succinct argument, and with him presiding as Chief Justice, a meaningful dialogue between counsel and the bench. All these were great achievements. I do think myself that his ability lay in presentation of oral argument, in oral debate, rather than in the written word.
And was that somewhat breathtaking to witness?
It was indeed. I recall in my earliest days as a junior counsel, appearing with him, working on cases with him. I was astonished by his energy, by his quickness of mind, and his ability to switch from consideration of one question to another in the blink of an eyelid. And I remember my reaction at the time was, looking at this man as an example, how can I possibly hope to succeed at the bar?
For all that brilliance, do you not think he may end up being essentially remembered for one thing, and that is the advice that he gave to Sir John Kerr in 1975?
Well, he will be remembered for that, simply because in that he participated in a matter that had massive political dimensions, and therefore his contribution to that problem is likely to be remembered well outside the field of his professional expertise, namely the law.
Was he a little too eager to offer that advice?
I'm not in a position to say that. I've heard that view expressed, but I wouldn't wish to comment about that.
What of the actual advice he offered? Because, as you know, Sir Garfield has said in previous interviews, the letter that he prepared for Sir John Kerr, he first of all showed that letter to you.
I'm not going to engage in a discussion of matters of that kind. I've made it clear before, Maxine, that I don't propose to speak publicly about that matter.
It is the great missing part of the history puzzle, though, isn't it, sir?
As far as I'm concerned, it can remain missing.
OK. In his later years, as you no doubt are aware, Sir Garfield was quite critical of the direction of your court, saying, I think, that what you were doing would turn the Parliament into a rubber stamp and that you'd perhaps end up in the soup. Did you have a falling out in later years over different views about the court?
Certainly his view and my view about a number of matters did not coincide in later years. That was true of the years when I was on the bench and Sir Garfield Barwick was Chief Justice, and that, as it were, conflict of view, difference of view, clearly continued after he left the bench and I became Chief Justice.
Mr. Anthony, let me ask you about the 3 new appointments to